What if your pastor stood before the congregation and said, "We're not taking offerings today. No tithes, no collection plates, nothing"? That's exactly what Pastor Jamal Bryant is accused of doing at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, suspending all offerings to refocus on faith, not finances. But is it true, or just another viral twist on the truth? Because the real story behind this decision and what it means for the future of the church is way deeper than anyone expected. When the story first hit social media, people were stunned. Posts started circulating across Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok claiming that Pastor Jamal Bryant had done the unthinkable, temporarily suspending church offerings at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. For many, it sounded like a bold act of faith. For others, it was a sign of financial trouble or a calculated PR move. But as with most viral church headlines, the truth isn't always what it seems at first glance. What really happened behind those pulpit doors? Did Pastor Bryant truly shut down the collection plates? Or was this another case of the internet running wild with a half-true story? In today's deep dive, we're unpacking every side of this controversy. We'll look at what was actually said, what church members witnessed, how the media spun the story, and the possible motives behind Bryant's shocking decision. And before the end, we'll reveal what insiders close to the ministry are now saying about why this decision may have been made at exactly this moment. Because when a well-known pastor like Jamal Bryant, leading one of the most recognized churches in America, does something this bold, it shakes not only the local congregation but also the entire faith community. The question is, was it a genuine call for spiritual renewal, or was there a bigger reason behind it all? Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll see how this single decision could redefine how megachurches handle money, image, and trust moving forward. It was a typical Sunday morning at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, or at least that's how it started. The congregation gathered under the bright lights, the choir in full harmony, and the atmosphere charged with anticipation. Pastor Jamal Bryant, known for his passionate sermons and unfiltered messages, took the stage as he always did, dressed sharp and focused, commanding the room with his presence. But what happened next took everyone by surprise. According to multiple eyewitness accounts, Pastor Bryant began speaking not about blessings or prosperity, but about balance. He talked about how the church had become too dependent on routine giving, on the ritual of the offering plate, and how faith had to mean more than just financial contributions. At one point, his tone shifted. He looked across the sanctuary and said something that made the entire room go silent. "Today, we're not taking an offering. We're pausing because I want us to focus on prayer, not payment." The reaction was instant. Some people gasped. Others clapped in disbelief. A few even stood to their feet, moved by what they felt was a powerful spiritual gesture. Cameras and phones started recording. Within hours, short clips and quotes began to spread like wildfire online. Hashtags like hashtag Jamal Bryant and hashtag No Offering Sunday trended on Twitter and TikTok. Some users praised him, calling it a revolutionary moment in the modern church. Others accused him of pulling a publicity stunt to distract from deeper issues within the ministry. What made this moment even more striking was the timing. The announcement came just weeks after rumors surfaced about financial restructuring at New Birth, and some suggested that this pause might be tied to those behind-the-scenes changes. By Monday morning, national blogs and gossip sites had already picked up the story. Headlines screamed, "Pastor Jamal Bryant suspends offerings at New Birth." And did Bryant just admit the church needs a reset? But as the internet continued to argue over what really happened, those close to the ministry insisted that the story wasn't so simple. They said there was context, a buildup of internal discussions, sermons, and community shifts that led to that moment. So what was the real motivation behind this unexpected decision? Was it a spontaneous act of conviction or part of a larger, carefully planned message to the church and beyond? To truly understand why Pastor Jamal Bryant made such a bold and unexpected move, we have to look beyond the viral clips and online opinions. The truth, as it turns out, goes much deeper, and it started long before that Sunday morning. In the months leading up to what people are now calling No Offering Sunday, there were quiet signs of change happening at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Members noticed a subtle shift in Pastor Bryant's sermons. His messages began to focus less on financial growth and more on spiritual renewal, accountability, and transparency within the body of Christ. He started using phrases like reset, rebuild, and refocus. According to insiders close to the church's leadership, Bryant had grown increasingly concerned about how the message of giving was being perceived, not just at New Birth, but across the modern church landscape. He reportedly told his team during a private meeting, "If we're not careful, the church will become known for its offering plates instead of its open hearts." That statement struck a chord. New Birth, after all, is no stranger to public scrutiny. Since Pastor Bryant took over following the late Bishop Eddie Long's tenure, he's worked tirelessly to rebuild the church's reputation and re-establish its credibility. But along the way, Bryant faced intense media coverage, from his personal life to his ministry choices, and every move he made was dissected online. This offering suspension, sources say, was his way of reclaiming control of the narrative. By publicly pausing the collection plate, Bryant was sending a message that his focus was on restoring faith before finances, conviction before contribution. However, others within the church leadership reportedly had mixed feelings. Some worried that the move might send the wrong signal to the public, that the church was struggling financially or facing internal pressure. Others believed it was exactly what the congregation needed, a reset, a spiritual wake-up call that reminded everyone why they came to church in the first place. One member who attended that Sunday service shared in an interview, "It wasn't about money. It was about meaning." Pastor Bryant wanted us to remember that worship is about connection, not collection. Still, critics weren't buying it. Detractors online accused Bryant of using the gesture as a distraction. They pointed out the timing, close to budget season and during a year when churches nationwide were facing attendance and giving declines. Some claimed that Bryant's statement was more about optics than obedience. But if there's one thing we know about Jamal Bryant, it's that he doesn't shy away from controversy. Throughout his career, he's been both praised and criticized for being bold, outspoken, and unapologetically authentic. And in this case, he seemed fully aware that his choice would spark debate, and maybe that was part of the plan. Behind closed doors, insiders say this pause wasn't meant to last forever. Instead, it was designed as a short-term spiritual initiative to realign the church's focus. One source even suggested that the pastor wanted to take this time to teach financial literacy, accountability, and stewardship from a biblical perspective before resuming offerings. In a later sermon clip, Bryant was heard saying, "God doesn't need your money. He needs your heart. When your heart is in the right place, your giving follows naturally." That one sentence, while simple, revealed his true intent. So while social media turned it into a scandal, many inside New Birth saw it as a statement, a declaration that faith had to come before finance. Still, the question remained, how did the public react once the full message was revealed? And did this bold stand help or hurt Pastor Bryant's already complex reputation? The moment that clip of Pastor Jamal Bryant saying, "We're not taking offerings today," hit social media, it exploded. Within hours, it spread across Facebook groups, church forums, TikTok timelines, and YouTube commentary channels. It was everywhere. Everyone had an opinion. And as you can imagine, not everyone saw it the same way. On one side were the supporters, believers who praised the move as a refreshing act of faith in a world where the church is often accused of being money-driven. They flooded the comments with messages like, "Finally, a pastor who's putting God first, and this is the kind of leadership we need right now." For many of them, Bryant's decision symbolized something bigger, a return to the roots of Christianity, where worship wasn't about wealth, but about the Word. Church members began sharing their experiences from that day online, saying that the atmosphere felt different, freer, more sincere. One woman posted, "There was something powerful in the air. People worshiped harder than ever, even without the offering time." It reminded us that faith is not a transaction. But not everyone saw it as a moment of revival. The backlash came just as fiercely. Critics from both inside and outside the church accused Jamal Bryant of playing into theatrics. They claimed it was a calculated move meant to create viral buzz and distract from ongoing criticisms of megachurch culture. Some commenters argued that Bryant, known for being media savvy, understood exactly how to stir conversation, and that this pause might have been more about visibility than virtue. A few even went as far as to question whether the church was financially stable. Rumors began swirling online that the pause in offerings was actually masking deeper financial concerns or internal restructuring. A handful of YouTube channels and gossip blogs ran with the story, adding fuel to the speculation. If your pastor is suspending offerings, one viral post read, "Something's going on behind